Luo Jiuge, who was entangled in black material on the 18th line, has been reborn. He originally wanted to break up with a scumbag, but was forced to participate in the love show, Heartbeat 2023. Black fans. Buses in the entertainment industry are truly entertainment buses, and there is really no limit to their popularity. Before the love show even started, Luo Jiuge had already been on the hot search for several days because of his criticism of black fans. After the start of the love show, we worked hard to break the 100 million mark in the live broadcast room, dominating the hot search of programs on the screen in Weibo. Talent display, where others either sing or dance, Luo Jiuge's live broadcast advertisement successfully made the actor laugh out loud. With the recording of the program, Luo Jiuge's main theme is to unleash oneself and make others unhappy. Black fan. Pass it on, Luo Jiuge is crazy. Fan. Sister, if you're kidnapped, just blink. Passerby. The entertainment industry needs talents like you to rectify. Female lead version. Reviving his life, Luo Jiuge didn't want to harm himself, just put it on the wrong side and went completely crazy. To black fans. How many mothers dare to talk to me like this? To the scumbag. I don't want to know if you're sick, don't be so obvious. To the third party. If you hit it, then hit it. Is it difficult to hit it? Do you still have to wait for the day? To the pursuer. I have more money than you, and men's clothing is more handsome. Why should I be with you? Fan. Crazy for my sister. Crazy for my sister. For my sister, bang bang against the big wall. Luo Jiuge. After lacking quality, my mental state has improved a lot. A certain big shot. Xiaojiu, please marry me at tadpoles are tattooed with frogs. Chenyu Luo Yen CP fan. Marry me. Now. Immediately. Immediately. Right now at tadpoles have frog tattoos on their bodies. Keywords of the novel. Big shots fall in love with a variety show by going crazy and rectifying the entertainment industry without pop-ups. Big shots fall in love with a variety show by going crazy and rectifying the entertainment industry with no pop-ups. Big shots fall in love with a variety show by going crazy and rectifying the entertainment industry with no pop-ups. Big shots fall in love with a variety show by going crazy and rectifying the entertainment industry with no pop-ups. The latest chapters are available for download. Chapter 1. Even the coming of Jesus doesn't work. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Even the coming of Jesus doesn't work, break up. Xiaojiu, aren't we okay? Why did we break up? The man looked hesitant and reached out to grab her arm, only to be avoided by the woman. Luo Jiuge is almost nauseous and vomiting, but let's go to the special little 9. If it weren't for rebirth, I would probably have been deceived by Jianghuai's innocent and harmless face in this lifetime. Thinking of the experience in the previous life, Luo Jiuge's fist stiffened and he said, "Can't you understand human language? I speak. I want. Share. Hands." Jianghuai's eyes were filled with tears, and he looked at Luo Jiuge with some injuries, as if Luo Jiuge was a scumbag who didn't admit her guilt after taking off her pants. But haven't we all met our parents before? Luo Jiuge sneered, daring to mention her parents in front of her. In the previous life, due to the small actions of Jianghuai, they were caught by Luo Jingwen and Liang Jinru just a week after being together, and she was ordered to have a good relationship with Jianghuai. Not long after being together, Jianghuai made a request to appear on Heartbeat 2023. Under the pressure of the two elders of Luoyang, Luo Jiuge agreed. Due to Jianghuai's performance in variety shows, Luo Jiuge chose to publicly reveal his romantic relationship with Jianghuai on the show. After the variety show, the two got married directly. I thought it was the beginning of happiness, but unexpectedly, it was the beginning of falling into hell. First, he was drugged and placed under house arrest by Jianghuai. He watched as Jiang Hui gradually took control of Luo's family and pushed his parents down the cliff, allowing the mistress to enter the house. He was pushed down the stairs, resulting in a miscarriage. His younger brother was led astray by Jiang Hui, and ultimately chose to jump off the building to escape. As a result, she was liberated from the hammer and reborn. Moreover, he never died, and was reborn on the second day after signing the contract. Luo Jiuge raised his hand and pinched Jiang Hui's chin. Don't think I don't know what you're up to. It used to be me who looked away. Now and even in the future, we won't have any relationship. The tears in Jiang Hui's eyes quietly fell. If it weren't for experiencing the previous life, Luo Jiuge would even want to applaud and cheer. His acting skills are so good, he only got a visual emperor, which is really an injustice to him. This is also the acting skills of the Oscar-winning actor. Luo Jiuge didn't want to deal with Jiang Hui anymore, so he carried Jiang Hui to the door. Gently throwing it away, like throwing garbage, it threw Jiang Hui to the door. Pa. Closing the door, Luo Jiuge sprayed his hands with disinfectant, as if he had just touched something dirty on his hands. In the video phone, Jiang Hui was still lying on the ground with an incredulous expression on his face, but more malicious, his eyes as if he had been poisoned. Luo Jiuge called the security guard and said, "Hurry up and get rid of the person at my doorstep. Don't let him in again in the future." In less than 5 minutes, 2 security guards, one on the left and one on the right, raised the Jianghui River, just like a prisoner. After confirming that Jiang Hui had been taken away by security, Luo Jiuge finally uncovered the already signed contract. After reading it once, fortunately, the penalty for breach of contract is only 1 million yuan, not much, and it is still affordable. I won't participate in variety shows, I won't participate in this lifetime. Just before Luo Jiuge could call the production team, he received a call from his old father Luo Jingwen. "Hello, Dad," said Luo Jiuge with a thumping sound in his heart, his voice wanting to be as sweet as possible. The roaring sound that Luo Jing heard could be heard clearly even if Luo Jiuge held his phone 8 zhang away. "How dare you call me Dad? Why did you break up with Xiao Hui? You even threw someone out of home." She knew that Jiang Hui, this despicable person, would not easily give up easily. After all, just dating the daughter of the Luo family is enough to take him to the next level in the entertainment industry, let alone anything else. I can't believe it took less than 10 minutes to get to Luo Jingwen's place. What a big coward. Thinking back, it's just that Luo Jiuge couldn't possibly say to Luo Jingwen, "Dad, that Jiang Hui is not a good person." Luo Jingwen would only think she was crazy, because since knowing they were in love, Jiang Hui treated Luo Jingwen and Liang Jinru like his own biological parents, being all-encompassing and bowing down. Pinched his brows and said, "Dad. There must be my reason for breaking up with him. You just. Xiao Hui is such a good child. You said you would break up if you wanted to. Are you trying to anger me and your mother to death? Dad. You said I'm so bad. Jiang Hui is such a good person, it's a pity to be with me. It's better to break up with him early and let him find a good girl." Luo Jiuge pinched his eyebrows and comforted him in the opposite direction. Luo Jing choked and said, "What nonsense are you talking about? I don't care, you quickly reconcile with someone." Seeing that it didn't make sense to Luo Jingwen, Luo Jiuge had to say, "Good," perfunctorily, otherwise it would probably not be possible to get over this matter. Anyway, she has decided on this hand, not to mention Luo Jingwen, it doesn't even matter if Jesus comes. However, upon hearing this, Luo Jing immediately became skeptical of Luo Jiuge's life. "I heard Xiao Hui say that you are going to participate in some exciting variety show in the next 2 days. Don't give me any tricks, otherwise you won't recognize me as your father." Luo Jiuge. "Are you still my biological father?" Luo Jing sniffed lightly and said, "Come here, I promise not to hit you." Luo Jiuge. "Duck, no need." After being sued for breaking up, Luo Jiuge couldn't help but go to the romance show. He was filled with anger in his heart. If she doesn't vent, she suspects she might have breast hyperplasia. I downloaded Weibo from the App Store and successfully logged in with a verification code, but almost missed the screen of Luo Jiuge's phone. There are probably more than 99 plus private messages and AI in the background. She changed her name, opened the comment permission, and posted her first Weibo post after her rebirth. Tadpole Tattooed Frog v. This time, I want to take back everything that belongs to me. Nai Huang Bao. I thought who it was. Emotions are like buses in the entertainment industry. Even tadpoles have tattooed frogs on their bodies. Why don't you tattoo mice on toads? Luo Jiuge. It's really like a little bee touching the switch, eating melon seeds and shrimp. Milk yellow bun. What's playing Lanier? Water droplets can pierce through stones. Bitch, please don't rub it, okay? Or can you rub it with someone else? Luo Jiuge. You are like an old lady eating lollipops and looking at the sky with bare buttocks. Lonling Wang Laoji. His mother opened the door for nausea. It's disgusting. Luo Jiuge. Turtle does day reading. I know you have a straight stomach, but don't pull it out of your mouth either. The main theme of Luo Jiuge is to unleash oneself, and to fight against as many black fans as possible. You should know that she is inspired by creative ideas, but she has watched many talk shows and some hurtful language. These black guys want to confront her without weighing their own weight. And at this level, it's just a small idea, just like an appetizer, without any challenge, you can easily achieve a complete victory. Entertainment industry plus rebirth plus vest plus group pets plus cute children plus crazy literature. The main focus is on going crazy, with various hot and expired memes. I hope everyone has a good time watching it. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. He feels that he urgently needs quick-acting heart-saving pills now. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. He feels that he urgently needs quick-acting heart-saving pills now because the discomfort brought by Jianghuai has been cured by these lovely black people, but Luo Jiuge's actions are explosive in the entire entertainment industry. So much so that the entry #LuoJiuge crazy hashtag suddenly appeared on the hot search, followed by an explosive word. Luo Jiuge, who was just busy talking to Heisey, had no sense at all, and his anger was a pleasant one. The next second, when he saw the caller ID, Luo Jiuge's hand trembled and his eyes were filled with a sense of awe. Zhang Ting. Her agent is also a cousin of Jianghuai. In her previous life, she felt a bit strange, and the time when Jianghuai appeared in front of her was too coincidental. It was not until the time she was imprisoned that she realized why, just because the two were cousins. Besides this, the reason why she has so much black material is all created by Zhang Ting alone, just to make her follow the path of black and red. She hasn't found Zhang Ting yet, but she didn't expect Zhang Ting to come knocking on her door first. Cold Hum picked up the phone, clicked on the amplification, and just put the phone aside. Luo Jiuge. Your ideas are getting bigger and bigger now, right? You dare to drive me crazy on Weibo. Do you think the company's public relations don't cost money? Zhang Ting's roar was thunderous, but fortunately she had foresight, otherwise her eardrums would have been shattered. Luo Jiuge just raised an eyebrow and said, anyway, it's already quite dark. It doesn't matter if it's any darker. Returning to the Weibo interface, I looked at my constantly increasing followers and said, look now, have I gained some more followers? You're quite proud, aren't you? Zhang Ting said angrily, it's not pride, it's just that black and red are also a kind of red. I don't need the company to spend money on it, that's great. Zhang Ting is probably furious, and through the screen, one can still hear her panting heavily. Luo Jiuge couldn't help but tisk. This was just the beginning, and I hope Zhang Ting can persevere. She has always been someone who doesn't offend me, and I don't offend her. If someone offends me, they will definitely be executed. Luo Jiuge. You are really good. Zhang Ting gritted her teeth, as if trying to devour Luo Jiuge alive. Well, I also think I'm a good person, said Luo Jiuge, feeling proud instead of ashamed after such an incident. Luo Jiuge's Weibo account was confiscated by the company and no rebuttal is accepted. For this, Luo Jiuge said. Can't you afford to play? If you take one, can you still take two? In line with the policy above and the countermeasures below, since the large account has been confiscated, you can use the small account. The big account doesn't converge much, and the small account is all about unleashing itself. Hate the sky, hate the earth, hate the air, and even hate the fans who wash themselves white. However, in just one day, I basically scolded the popular fans of artists at the moment. It was an indiscriminate attack, and successfully obtained a black label. Weibo mouth strong speechless. In order to warm up Heartbeat 2023, Jiang Qing prepared many entries, but unfortunately, his crazy comments on the Luo Jiuge account dominated the screen, and the money he posted went straight to waste. Jiang Qing was so angry that he stayed up all night and even had 2 bubbles in his mouth. However, after staying up all night and not without any gains, I decided to adopt a reality show that combines live streaming and recording. It can be said that there are variety shows with live streaming and recording in parallel these days, but there are no romantic variety shows. After all, love shows are different from other shows and require a stand-up. Love variety shows, as the name suggests, are watching 2 people fall in love. That's also why no one dares to set this precedent. After all, the risk is still quite high. But now there is no other way. 1 million has already been wasted, so we can only start from other aspects. With an idea in mind, I immediately had a passionate conversation with several assistant directors. Finally, in addition to the parallel live broadcast and recording, it was decided to open a one-man all-day online live broadcast room and a fixed slot for regular live broadcast, and play Essence Plus clips on the whole platform every week. The recording time of the program is on May 20th, and the guests need to arrive at their destination on the 19th. The recording location is in a manor in Tianjin City, which is also the place where the guests will live together for the next month. The estate has a total of 4 floors. The first floor consists of a kitchen and dining room, the third and fourth floors are guest rooms for guests to rest, and the second floor is a multifunctional room that combines entertainment and fitness. This scale is a very explosive presence in the entire love complex. There are a total of 6 guests in this episode, and they need to bring their luggage to the airport on time according to the requirements of the program team. Having a previous life experience, Luo Jiuge did not take the plane ticket purchased by the program team, but bought his own ticket. Zhao Xing, who was sitting in his seat, felt a little uneasy. Sister Luo, is it really okay for us to do this? Luo Jiuge patted Zhao Xing's shoulder and said, Don't worry, I'm worried about something. Seeing how certain Luo Jiuge was, Zhao Xing finally let go and didn't know that Luo Jiuge had planned to sell her from the beginning. On the other side, 5 guests have all arrived at the estate. Everyone sat upright, with a somewhat eerie atmosphere. Even Xu Qianqian, who has always been good at creating lively atmosphere, remained silent. Jiang Qing, who saw the surveillance footage from the monitor, was furious and fell heavily on the table with the notebook in his hand. Where is the Luo Jiuge person? The staff present were all grand and hesitant, afraid that the fire on Jiang Qing's body would burn on him in the next second. The deputy director in charge of monitoring Luo Jiuge, Lu Ku, wiped off the non-existent sweat on his forehead and stuttered, No. I don't know. How on earth do you do things? As such a big person, can you just disappear? But she didn't appear in the surveillance footage at first. Lu Ku's voice became quieter and his neck was about to shrink into a ball. Jiang Qing pinched his own person, feeling that he urgently needed quick-acting heart-saving pills. Seeing each one resembling a quail, Jiang Qing was furious and said, Then why don't you call her quickly? Lu Ku immediately took out his phone to make a phone call, but it showed that it was turned off. Before Jiang Qing could get angry, he called Jiang Ting again. So Jiang Ting's phone went through and he directly threw the anger he had just received on Jiang Qing onto Jiang Ting. What's wrong with Luo Jiuge? Why are all the guests here, but she hasn't arrived yet? Even turning off the phone while making calls, does she really want to go on this variety show? Jiang Ting was stunned by Lu Ke's roar and apologized, "Go ahead, I'm sure I'll go ahead." Glancing at Jiang Cheng's expression, if she hasn't arrived within half an hour, then she doesn't need to go. After finishing speaking, he hung up the phone and tentatively asked, "Director Jiang, why don't you wait for another half hour? If Luo Jiuge doesn't arrive within half an hour, shall we invite another guest?" Now there seems to be no other way besides this, Jiang Qing nodded. Glancing at the monitor, the fire that had finally been extinguished rose up again. Hurry up and let them interact. It's still live streaming now. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Killing men, not killing men. I don't know, but I did quite kill her anyway. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Killing men, not killing men. I don't know, but I did quite kill her anyway, Surprisingly, there is me, Brother Pei. Crazy for Brother Pei. Crazy for Brother Pei. Crazy for Brother Pei. Crashing into a big wall. XSWL, the five of them seem like their parents arranged a marriage, so embarrassed that they are almost digging out a magic castle. Isn't there a total of 6 guests? And one more. Why hasn't she come yet? It's not good to have 5 people waiting for her alone. In the last minute of half an hour, Luo Jiuge and Zhao Xing finally appeared in the surveillance video. When the heart is beating, love is like a raging fire. You are laughing. The crazy person is me. Love warms the heart like a fire. I see the flames of love flickering, as the anchor, Xu Qianshan immediately followed the music and shook her head and brain, feeling as if something was wrong. Sure enough, 4 pairs of eyes were staring at her so straight, making her blush. Touching the back of his neck, he chuckled twice and said, "Besides, this music is quite addictive." A faint smile also rose on Jiang Huai's face, "It's a bit." However, it doesn't sound like it was aired by the production team either. Su Manling nodded and agreed, "It seems to be coming from outside the door." Amidst the attention of the crowd, Luo Jiuge and Zhao Xing appeared in everyone's sight riding an electric suitcase. Luo Jiuge warmly waved his hand and said, "Hi, hello." Xu Qianshan seemed to have been infected by Luo Jiuge and waved her paw, "Hi." Jiang Hui stood up, with starry eyes on his face, wanting to help Luo Jiuge down from his suitcase. "Xiaojiu, you're here." However, Luo Jiuge did not give him this opportunity. He took a step out of the electric suitcase and flashed to the side, saying, "Are we very familiar?" Jiang Hui stumbled underfoot and almost fell to the ground. Upon hearing Luo Jiuge's words, his face turned pale and he immediately slapped several pounds of white powder. At this moment, a male voice came from the radio, "Since all 6 guests have arrived, now let's introduce ourselves and get to know each other." Afraid that no one would be the first to step forward, he said, "Let's start with Teacher Pei." Pei Shi, whose name was called, was taken aback and said, "I am Pei Shi, 28 years old, and I love women." Xu Qianshan blinked her eyes and muttered inwardly, "Is that all?" Luo Jiuge slightly curled his lips, and Pei Shi was indeed as precious as ever, with words as precious as gold. "Hello everyone, my name is Jiang Hui. You can call me Xiao Jiang or just call me by my name. My representative works include Fated to Fall in Love with You, Biography of Qiao Chu, and Step by Step Camp. I am 26 years old this year." After finishing speaking, he turned his head to look at Luo Jiuge and said, "They all say that to get married and start a business, one must first get married and then start a business. I want to get married, so I came." Luo Jiuge shuddered, goosebumps almost falling to the ground. Yu Guang scanned Su Manling and couldn't help but curl his lips and smile. Sure enough, I am still too young, and now I am starting to lose my composure. But in the eyes of Jianghuai, this smile meant another layer of meaning, and he walked over again. Just as he took a step, Luo Jiuge took a step to the side, like avoiding snakes and scorpions. Two people have already started playing the game, and the other few are no longer silent. Hello everyone, I am Cheng Ming and also Mr. Cheng. I am 28 years old and I write novels. After speaking, I seemed a bit shy and blushed, touching my ears. I came here this time to have a romantic relationship, preferably with the premise of getting married. Xu Qianqian was shocked and covered her mouth with both hands. Wow! You're actually Mr. Cheng, I really like your 7-sun star. Cheng Ming's face turned even redder, thank you. Xu Qianqian exclaimed, I didn't expect you, big shot, to look so handsome. I'm not a big shot, Zhouluo is the big shot. In front of him, I'm just a small guy. Xu Qianqian chuckled and said, they're all big shots. Blinking her eyes, thinking that she had already said so much, she decided to say, I am Xu Qianqian, a live streamer in Shaoxiang. I am 24 years old and I hope to meet Mr. Right who belongs to me on this program. Su Manling's palm was almost bleeding from herself, and even a Luo Jiuge was enough. Now, surprisingly, a Xu Qianqian appeared. After enduring it for a while, he finally said with a soft smile, girl, imagination is beautiful, reality is cruel. Is that right? If that's really the case, why are you joining this variety show? Xu Qianqian was unaware of the existence of live streaming, and she was just like that. She didn't have so many twists and turns, just say whatever she had. Xu Qianqian didn't know there was a live broadcast, but Luo Jiuge, who has a god's perspective, knows. At least Su Manling is also a movie queen. The end result of Xu Qianqian offending Su Manling is her current end, and Xu Qianqian is worth being friends with. So he snapped his fingers and caught everyone's attention, hi I'm Luo Jiuge, you can call me Jiuge. There's no representative work, 18 thread small transparent, let's make some soy sauce. Xu Qianqian was shocked again by Shuangqi Company, you are Luo Jiuge. Luo Jiuge. If no one knows Xu Qianqian, then the name Luo Jiuge is definitely well known. Because she has a truck full of ex-boyfriends, and she particularly likes to rub around, and her sexual behavior is constant. In summary, in short. Apart from being hacked by the entire internet, whenever there is any turbulence in the entertainment industry, Luo Jiuge is definitely the one behind it. Someone has cheated, she is definitely the mistress. Someone has committed a crime, she is definitely the mastermind. Someone withdrew from the circle, and she is definitely the main trigger. Xu Qianqian bit her finger and said, I didn't expect you to be so good. Looking in person. This is not a compliment, nor is it a hard compliment. Wearing a pink casual suit with the 3 big characters, mind me, written on the top, the hem of the dress tucked into the skirt pants, a pair of graffiti white shoes under the straight and slender legs, and a beige baseball cap on the head, the whole person looked youthful. A head of misty blue short hair sets off a snow-white skin, and the small face like melon seeds is not even as big as a palm. Under the curved willow eyebrows, there are a pair of beautiful peach blossom eyes with brown pupils. At first glance, it looks very affectionate. The long eyelashes trembled slightly, the fair and flawless skin showed a blush, and the thin lips were as delicate as rose petals, making people want to explore the truth. Wearing a pair of Chanel earrings on his ears, and a pearl bone chain on his neck, he can even vaguely see the collarbone below the chain. Xu Qianqian, who kills men but not men, doesn't know. Anyway, she did quite kill her. Luo Jiuge chuckled and said, you're also very cute. Yes, cute. She is small in stature and has some baby fat, so the dress she wears looks like she's stealing adult clothes. Seeing the two people boasting about each other as if nothing had happened, Su Manling coughed lightly. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. If you know you've made a fool of yourself, why don't you hurry down? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. If you know you've made a fool of yourself, why don't you hurry down, sleeping slut? Why is there such a slut as Luo Jiuge? Why do you use soy sauce so much? Is there someone who uses soy sauce like her? First, she was late, and then she came in high profile. Now, she doesn't want me, sister man, to introduce myself first. It's really ugly and there are many scenes. Pure passersby, isn't there anyone knocking on Luo Jiuge and Shu Qianqian? One silly and cute, one imperial sister, it's like poking my heart. The warrior in front, CP can be unpopular, but not evil. I advise you to spend your time on it. Luo Jiuge blinked and said, Sister, you haven't introduced yourself yet. Su Manling almost didn't come up in one breath. Sister. Shen Te Mo's sister. Seeing Su Manling not speaking, Luo Jiuge said again, Did I say it wrong? Watch. Sister. Yes, Su Manling is Luo Jiuge's cousin. However, the relationship between the two has never been good, and they are only 3 years apart. From childhood to adulthood, Su Manling had to compete with Luo Jiuge for everything. Sugar, toys, beautiful clothes. When I was young, I robbed things, but when I grew up, I robbed people. In their previous life, Su Manling and Jiang Huai had already secretly formed a romantic relationship. The reason why Jiang Huai took control of the Luo family in such a short period of time is not only because they had been dormant for a long time, but also because of Su Manling's help. As soon as he thought of Su Manling's small and successful face in the previous life, and the malicious look of Su Manling pushing herself downstairs, Luo Jiuge wished to turn Su Manling to ashes. Of course not, Su Manling said with a smile on her face, You said you were two, and you didn't tell me to participate in this variety show. Luo Jiuge sat beside Su Manling, took Su Manling's arm, and performed a sister's deep love. Then you didn't tell me. It's even. Oh, you can't die of nausea. Su Manling wanted to break off Luo Jiuge's hand, but Luo Jiuge's hand was like a copper wall and an iron wall, unable to shake a single point. Hello everyone, I'm Su Manling. Before Su Manling could finish speaking, Luo Jiuge helped her say, My cousin is really amazing. She was already a movie queen at the age of 25. Shu Qianqian asked a question, So why is she a movie queen, you or an 18th line actress? Since they are cousins and artists, shouldn't they support each other? Luo Jiuge gave Shu Qianqian a thumbs up in his heart. That's a great question, keep pushing harder next time. The expression on Su Manling's face was a bit cracked, and even if her self-introduction was interrupted by Luo Jiuge, it's okay. Now Shu Qianqian still asks such a death question. Before she could think of the wording, a male voice came from the broadcast again, Since everyone has already introduced themselves, let's perform a show next, which can be considered warmed up. Jiang Huai looked up at the sound source and said, Is any program okay? Anything that cannot be broadcasted without killing or setting fire is acceptable. Seeing that no one had the desire to perform first, Jiang Huai rubbed his hands and said, Then I'll sing a song. The production team has long planned for the guests to perform the show, so there are some instruments in the corner next to them that look particularly prepared. Jiang Huai chose a violin from a pile of instruments, sat down, and raised his hand. The prelude to Today You Are Going to Marry Me leaped out like this, while Jiang Huai's gaze always fell on Luo Jiuge's face. Everyone could see that Jiang Huai had thoughts about Luo Jiuge. Everyone's gaze was fixed on Jiang Huai, only Su Manling whispered, Luo Jiuge. What are you doing? Luo Jiuge blinked innocently and said, What am I not doing? Can my sister come and participate in this variety show, but can't I? Others would be deceived by Luo Jiuge's innocent appearance, but Su Manling didn't. She gritted her teeth and said, You know what I mean. That's really frustrating, Luo Jiuge said with a puzzled expression, What is troubling you? It was Jianhui who sent me here. As soon as these words were spoken, Su Manling's expression on her face was almost uncontrollable. Su Manling fell in love with Jianhui at first sight. Upon learning that Jianhui was going to appear on Heartbeat 2023, she immediately asked her agent to register. She said why even the 18 storylines of Luo Jiuge, who is plagued by black material, can appear in this variety show. It turns out to be because of Jianhui. Su Manling's teeth were itching with hatred, but she couldn't do anything else in front of others and could only mentally consume herself. Jianhui is singing and pulling, and after a song is finished, only Xu Qianxian, Su Manling, and Chengming applaud with a loud clap. Jianhui was not embarrassed either. I'm showing off. Luo Jiuge spoke calmly and said, if you know you've made a fool of yourself, why don't you hurry down? This made Jianhui, who was still smiling, look embarrassed, neither up nor down. Luo Jiuge is also too impolite. Huaigu is just humble, she thinks she is who. A slut is a slut, no matter where they are, they always want to stand out and constantly want to brush off their presence. Luo Jiuge is really down to her head. The ball show team should quickly ask her to leave the variety show. I really can't bear it. Jiang Cheng, who has been watching the surveillance and real-time hot searches on Weibo in the background, finally showed a smile on his face. With the arrival of Luo Jiuge, the number of live broadcasts has exceeded 100 million, and the heart-pounding hot searches are also one after another. Before Luo Jiuge arrived, the number of people in the live broadcast room was only a few million, and the hot searches were all personal hot searches by Pei Shi and Su Manling. Unlike now, in addition to personal hot searches, my heart has also followed several others. Jiang Qing nodded satisfied and said, it seems that this Luo Jiuge is not completely useless. Lu Ku nodded in agreement and said, yes, she used to angrily criticize black fans on Weibo. It's estimated that now the entire network is filled with her black fans. Jiang Cheng touched his chin and said, so, you can ask the camera team to take more shots of Luo Jiuge later. I think our variety show this time will definitely go viral because it has Luo Jiuge. Heartbeat has been doing it for 3 consecutive years, but the ratings of each issue are still slightly lower than those of the same love show. If it weren't for the Jianghui region this time, the production team wouldn't have invited Luo Jiuge to participate in this love show. After all, with so much black material on her body, it's like an untimely bomb in the love show. You never know when she will explode. But now, it seems that there are also benefits. At least he has made up for the 1 million he lost before, with over 100 million online users and several popular programs. As long as Luo Jiuge is here, it's difficult not to become popular. Su Manling couldn't bear to watch as Jianhui continued to feel awkward. She stood up and nodded, saying, I don't have anything to perform. Let's dance for everyone. After finishing speaking, I picked up my phone, opened the player, and played a classical music. My whole body danced to the music. Luo Jiuge couldn't help but snort coldly in his heart, scratching his head and making a fool of himself. It's not just a playful gesture. With her elegant classical music, Su Manling jumped out of the feeling of ancient hooked houses, instantly lowering the levels several times. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Luo Jiuge has a bunch of ex-boyfriends. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Luo Jiuge has a bunch of ex-boyfriends. After finishing the song, Su Manling's eyes were fixed on Jianhui, as if she was wearing a hook, her eyes were all drawn. Luo Jiuge commented in confusion, you danced very well, don't dance again next time. When replacing Pei, he chuckled softly, probably not expecting Luo Jiuge to be so direct. Facing everyone's gaze, Pei Shi coughed softly and said, Su Yingho is indeed very good at dancing, but she is too enchanting and charming, which actually lowers the style of this dance. The comments on the barrage were originally about cursing Luo Jiuge, but because of Pei Shi's words, everyone fell into self-doubt. Is it really like this? Su Manling's face turned red and white, but she couldn't get angry at Pei Shi. She could only reluctantly pull out a smile and say, yes. Yes. My personal suggestion is that if you want to dance again next time, it's best not to make any changes casually. Otherwise, those who dance well will have a divine level out of the circle, and those who dance poorly will have a disaster scene. Su Manling's nails tightly pinched her palm, and after a while, she said, okay. Jiang Hui spoke up at the right time, Teacher Pei, what talent are you planning to perform? I don't know if it's to defend Su Manling or just to know what talent Pei Shi wants to perform. Pei Shi sat casually on the sofa, looking a bit lazy. Upon hearing these words, he thought seriously and said, I don't have much talent either. Let's just whistle for everyone. Luo Jiuge's mouth twitched slightly, he didn't have much talent yet. Can she still not know if others don't know? Singing and playing the piano are effortless, and even playing with a mobile phone or car can be quite challenging. I don't know if it was intentional or something, but Pei Shi's tune happened to be the one played by Jiang Hui before, today you are going to marry me. You don't have to look to know that the face of Jiang Hui is definitely not good now. Luo Jiuge, who used to have such a good impression of Pei Shi, now has a higher level of liking. This man is really too fond of her taste. After Pei Shi finished playing, Luo Jiuge took the lead in applauding and said, wow. Teacher Pei's lung capacity is really amazing. Xu Qianshan followed suit and said, if it were me, I wouldn't be able to do it. Don't say you've played the whole song, even halfway through it can be a bit difficult. Pei Shi's mouth slightly raised, I'm flattered. However, his gaze was fixed on Luo Jiuge. At this moment, Luo Jiuge was looking at Xu Qianshan and naturally didn't pay attention to Pei Shi's gaze. So, Qianshan, what talent are you planning to perform? Xu Qianshan smiled and said, then let's dance for everyone. Anyway, surpassing is impossible, so go in the direction of humor. Originally, her positioning was as a humorous woman, and she was no different from being funny in the live broadcast room and on variety shows. Xu Qianshan's dance is the Jiangnan style of Uncle Bird. With the sound of enchanting music, my dad just killed him, oh 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 my dad just killed him, Xu Qianshan also danced to the rhythm of the music. Not to mention, this song is really brainwashing, making Luo Jiuge feel a bit eager to try it out. After finishing the song, Xu Qianshan smiled sweetly without any embarrassment, I don't have any other talent, what I know best is humor. If I please you all, it would be my honor. Luo Jiuge gave a thumbs up and said, the needle is good. To be a person, one should be as sincere as Xu Qianshan. So Luo Jiuge stood up and said, since Qianshan has danced for everyone, let me give you a brief performance of flying on the ground. After speaking, he walked towards the suitcase that had just been pushed aside, pulled up the lever, sat up with his legs up, reached out and pressed a button, and a loud voice came from the suitcase. Welcome to our electric travel case. With the philosophy of convenience, speed, and humor, we will make your journey more enjoyable. If you think it's useful, please give it a 5-star review. As the voice introduction was completed, the BGM that they had previously heard was once again ringing, causing a tense sensation. When the heart is beating, love is like a raging fire. You are laughing. The crazy person is me. Love warms the heart like a fire. I see the flames of love flickering, accompanied by the enchanting BGM. Luo Jiuge rode an electric suitcase and circled around the living room, truly flying on the ground as she said. However, this was not over yet. After Love Like Fire finished playing, it switched back to Little Bird Vodka Tonight. This whole night 3 meals without any worries, just have a honey burger, Heartless Holla Thunder Gabba, I'm sorry, oh, I'm so good. Xu Qianshan smiled until she covered her face, her whole body trembling. Luo, you're sure to win this wave, she said. Pei Shi's face couldn't help but smile, not to mention, this suitcase is quite unique. Chengming followed suit and said, if it weren't for the introduction of sound and such enchanting music, I would have wanted to get one. It would be so convenient. Only Jiang Huai and Su Manling's expressions were a bit complicated, and they were both silent, as if they didn't know what to say. After Luo Jiuge circled around the living room several times and made sure everyone could see the suitcase he was riding on clearly, he finally stopped and said, "How about this suitcase? Is it okay?" Without waiting for everyone to answer, Luo Jiuge turned around and grinned like a cross-talk performer, saying, "Number 1998, number 998, just 498. You can take your electric suitcase home. It's better to take action than to be tempted. Hurry up and buy it." Puai, now Pei Shi couldn't even care about his image and said, "How many benefits did you get from taking this electric suitcase?" Luo Jiuge innocently spread out his hand and said, "I also saw that they were going bankrupt, so I helped put up an advertisement. Although BGM is indeed a bit addictive, it's quite useful. It can weigh up to 200 pounds at most." He even reached out and compared it, looking a bit silly. Su Manling seemed to be unable to bear it anymore and said in a loud voice, "You just need to embarrass yourself at home. Why do you still embarrass yourself by throwing it on the variety show?" Luo Jiuge raised his eyebrows, turned off the enchanting music, and looked at Su Manling leisurely. "Oh. Why am I embarrassed at home? Cousin, can you talk about it?" Speaking of which, Su Manling was very enthusiastic. "Go pick bird eggs from the tree, draw a beard for the cat, and make a bunch of strange slippers." However, every time Su Manling said something, Pei Shi's smile increased. After Su Manling finished speaking, Pei Shi's eyes were full of smiles and he said, "I didn't expect Xiao Luo to be so cute when you were at home." Luo Jiuge chuckled and said, "Are you okay? Who hasn't had a mischievous time yet? Isn't it that Su Manling can't afford to play and specifically pick on things from her childhood?" Su Manling didn't expect Pei Shi to find Luo Jiuge cute. She took a deep breath with a smile and said, "Of course, there's something even more embarrassing." Qingming also became interested and said, "Oh. What else is there?" "Luo Jiuge has a bunch of ex-boyfriends." End of this chapter. Chapter 6. I just want to give my brothers a home. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. I just want to give my brothers a home, sleeping slot. Is this something I can listen to without spending money? Su Yingho really doesn't treat us as outsiders. Unexpectedly, she's telling the truth. It seems that the title of boss in the entertainment industry really lives up to its reputation. Even my cousin has come out to hammer it. Can this still be fake? Could you please get out of the production team, Luo Jiuge? I've been sticking around like a dog's skin ointment all day, it's really disgusting. I thought Su Manling was going to say something amazing, but Luo Jiuge was a bit disappointed. I just want to give my brothers a home, what's wrong with me? He shrugged nonchalantly, the aroma of tea overflowing. Puai. Xu Qianqian rubbed her nose with her hand, suppressed her smile, and said seriously, "Yes, sister just made a mistake that all men would make." Qingming, like a primary school student in class, raised his hand and said, "How many are there in a pile?" Su Manling, who was originally secretly unhappy with the comments of Luo Jiuge and Xu Qianqian, raised her eyebrows and cast an appreciative look at Qingming. This kid has a future. After watching Qingming, his gaze finally fell on Luo Jiuge, as if he wanted to say but dared not. "It's okay, you can do whatever you want," said Luo Jiu Song Club. "Isn't it just that she wants others to know that she has many ex-boyfriends, and she hasn't stolen, robbed, or worked as a mistress, so she's afraid of being told." Although I don't understand why Luo Jiuge can be so calm, being able to reveal his true face in front of 3 men can also be considered a merit. I'm not quite sure about this, I just know it's a bit too much. My hands and feet combined may not be enough. After listening to Su Manling's words, Xu Qianqian swallowed her saliva and greeted Luo Jiuge with a thumbs up. "Sister. You are my sister." At first, she thought that Luo Jiuge was only a few dozen or so, but she couldn't believe that she could form a football team. And Luo Jiuge is still a celebrity, isn't he worried about his house collapsing at all? Oh, it seems like there's really no need to worry. After all, they have all been blacked out like that, and it doesn't seem to matter whether the house collapses or not. Luo Jiuge placed his hand on his side and gestured, looking somewhat proud. Low key, he said. Su Manling was furious and said, "No, why don't you have any shame?" Luo Jiuge asked in response, "Do we still need to be ashamed of this kind of thing? I didn't steal, I didn't snatch, and I didn't act as a mistress. It's just that I have more ex-boyfriends, so it's not much different from their ex-girlfriends." Pei Shi's mouth twitched slightly, "Don't bring me with you." However, he does not deny Luo Jiuge's words, as the tolerance for women in this society is somewhat low. Men and women have different opinions on the same matter among netizens. If it were to be said that the person who was exposed to have many predecessors today is him, most people would only say that he is experienced. When looking at Pei, it seemed to agree with Luo Jiuge's words, and Jiang Huai immediately expressed his opinion, "I have no ex on the entire network." Qingming also didn't want to fall behind. "I talked about it before, but later we parted ways because of a different place," he said while using his spare light to sneak a peek at Xu Qianshan, as if wanting to see her reaction. Originally, it was about Luo Jiuge's shameful deeds, but now it has escalated into the topic of whether there is an X, which has made Su Manling blush with anger. As if afraid that the fire might not be strong enough, Luo Jiuge smiled and said, "If I remember correctly, it seems like you've talked about it several times, cousin." Su Manling's expression was a bit cracked, and she immediately sneered, "No one can be considered in love before they are young and naive." Luo Jiuge let out a thoughtful, "Oh," and said, "It turns out that with my cousin, we give each other gifts and share our hearts. It's just that we haven't slept yet, so we can't be considered in love." As he was about to pinch, Jiang Jianma gave the staff a glance. Although this topic is indeed very hot, it is uncertain whether they can bear the consequences if they are allowed to continue talking like this. He does want his program to become popular, but it doesn't mean there is no limit. Just as Su Manling didn't know how to refute, another male voice came from the radio. "Since everyone has already understood each other, now it's the game segment. I believe everyone knows that our Heartbeat app is called Heartbeat Calling. Now, please click on the link in the WeChat group to download Heartbeat Calling to your phone." Luo Jiuge raised his eyebrows and sat back next to Su Manling as if nothing had happened. He spoke in a voice that only Su Manling could hear, "Let's play slowly for the next month." Su Manling turned her head and wondered why Luo Jiuge suddenly became so aggressive. You should know that before, it was always her who took the initiative to cause trouble. Luo Jiuge curved his lips and smiled, patting Su Manling's shoulder. "I know I'm good looking, but cousin, don't keep staring at me all the time. Hurry up and download the app." Su Manling bit her back teeth. If it weren't for considering that there were others around, she would have left long ago. The Heartbeat Call app has been on the market for 3 years, but not everyone can use it, only guests who participate in Heartbeat Love Show can. It's similar to the functions of WeChat, but slightly more powerful than the functions of WeChat. Okay, now, please name the objects on site and sit in different areas. Guess people based on their avatars, nicknames, personal signatures, and chat content. Those who guess correctly receive rewards, while those who guess incorrectly receive punishments. This question is about the Luojiu Song Festival, because I have experienced it in my previous life. So she's determined on this reward, even if Jiang Qing comes, it won't be of any use. In her previous life, she achieved mediocrity, but was guessed by Su Manling and Jiang Huai. In this life, Luo Jiuge curved his lips and finally came up with a name that no one could imagine. After all 6 guests had chosen their names, changed their avatars, signed their names, and sat down properly, Jiang Qing finally pulled the 6 of them into the Heartbeat Call group. The first person to enter is Luo Jiuge. After the remaining 5 people join the group, they will come up and wildly brush emojis. Heartbeat calls are bound to WeChat, and emoticons are naturally stored in WeChat's inventory. After scrolling through the emoticons, I started looking at my avatars, nicknames, and tags one by one. Although we know who the subcutaneous layer is, we still need to pretend to be like it. After all, it's still live streaming. Except for Luo Jiuge observing, the other 5 people were also observing, but none of them had any clue. Because they were all hidden so well that there was no trace of anything. Cherry Kamaruko. You guys are hiding too well, you have no idea who is who. Pan Yuyen. Unable to laugh or cry, so, can you give me some hints? Master Kong. They are all some strange names that don't match real people at all. Who can guess that? Not taking. Otherwise, one person would say a keyword that belongs to them. Landlord low. Income households. I think you're right about not taking or taking, so why don't you come first? Don't take it. Sunshine. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Those predecessors are somewhat immature. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 7. Those predecessors are somewhat immature. Cherry Little Maruko. I am a sunny and cheerful big boy. My only talent is a smile. Look at the corners of my mouth raised. Ban Yu Yen. SOS. I almost sang along just now. Landlord low. Income households. Don't make a fuss, talk about business. Lamp. It's easy to guess. Cherry Zayamaruki. I also think it's easy to guess. Cherry Zayamaruduzi. The lamp is Pei Shi, and if not taken, it is Jianghuai. Lamp. Jianghuai. The messages from Luo Jiuge and Pei Shi can be said to have been sent out one after the other, but the answers are the same, except that Luo Jiuge is superior. Cherry Zayamaruduzi. According to this reasoning, the low. Income earner should be Qing Ming, Peng Yuyen should be Xu Qianxian, and Master Kong should be Su Manling. Ban Yuyen. How did you guess? Luo Jiuge. After all, I can't think of anyone else using this name besides you. For Su Manling, the game had already ended before it started. After all, she only said one sentence in total, and as a result, she was completely wiped out. I thought this round would take 1 or 2 hours, but I didn't expect Luo Jiuge to guess everyone in less than 10 minutes. The anchor had to face the pressure and said, because Luo Jiuge guessed everyone, and Pei Yingdi also guessed one. So now, the remaining 4 guests have to accept punishment. 6 people sitting in different corners also ensure the fairness of the game. Upon hearing that she was going to be punished, Xu Qianxian couldn't sit still and ran straight to Luo Jiuge's side. She hugged Luo Jiuge's arm and said, Sister Luo, help. Don't panic, there's not a big problem. Luo Jiuge patted Xu Qianxian on the back of her hand. Punish her for doing 10 deep squats on the pressure board in her previous life. Xu Qianxian didn't take it to heart and curiously asked, so how on earth did you achieve such precision in saying that the 5 of us came? It's very simple. Luo Jiuge analyzed with his fingers. Do you think, if you don't talk about his sunshine? Among the 6 of us, besides Jianghuai, who else has sunshine? Xu Qianxian thought for a moment and it seemed like she too. Pei Shi belongs to the group of Gaoling Ba Zong, while Qingming belongs to the group of refined and despicable people. Su Manling belongs to mature women, and she has nothing to do with sunshine. As for the low. Income households, it's naturally because of Pei Yingdi's nickname. His self-introduction is so concise, and such a short and purposeful name must be undoubtedly Pei Yingdi. My cousin's skills in fighting against landlords are still good. As for you, it's because of your speech that I am very certain that the low. Income recipient is Qingming. Xu Qianxian blinked her eyes and looked at Luo Jiuge in confusion. No, what's wrong with my speech? There's nothing wrong with it, it's just exposing yourself. Although everyone is a surfer, you are the anchor, so only you want to sing. Well. It seems reasonable. The reason why Luo Jiuge explains so much is mainly to explain it to the audience in the live broadcast room. Even if she didn't watch the barrage, she knew that there must be no good words for her on the barrage now, and probably thought it was colluding with her by the program team. Xu Qianqian couldn't help but sigh. Your logical thinking is simply amazing, and it's fortunate that you were born in modern times. If you were born in ancient times, you would definitely be an empress. Luo Jiuge couldn't help but laugh and cry. It's not as exaggerated as what you said. Returning to the empress, which empress is as knowledgeable as her? When the two were chatting, the staff had already arranged the finger pressure board. The punishment is for girls to do 10 squats on the pressure board, while boys do 10 push-ups. I feel like the sky is going to kill me, Xu Qianqian said with a mournful face. After all, Luo Jiuge couldn't resist and pinched Xu Qianqian's cheek, feeling as he had imagined. Thinking that Xu Qianqian likes to eat desserts, she threw down the bait and said, "Come on, I'll make something delicious for you later." Xu Qianqian's eyes lit up and she said, "I think I can do it again. People are beautiful, kind-hearted, have high intelligence, and even know how to cook. Those predecessors are somewhat immature. Oh my god, the finger pressure board hurts a lot. Are you sure this is a love show, not a gaming variety show? Do I really think Luo Jiuge's intelligence is on the charts? I don't know why there are so many black spots, but they just fell in love a few more times without touching the rules, right? Help. I don't want to kowtow either, but the steaming and boiling have already danced in front of me. Not kowtowing is simply not human. The punishment is over, then the next step is rewards. Because there were 2 people who guessed correctly, the love fund that was originally only prepared was divided into 2 or 8. Luo Jiuge 800, Peisha 200. In addition to this, the 2 also have the priority to choose a room. Luo Jiuge chose the only room on the 4th floor with a garden and balcony, while Peisha chose the room downstairs from Luo Jiuge on the 3rd floor. After selecting the room, it was time for the unboxing process. Although Luo Jiuge didn't know why a love show had to learn from others to record unboxing. The staff in charge of the shoot was puzzled. It's understandable to bring snacks, why do you still bring an iPad and an external keyboard? Luo Jiuge smiled slightly and said, I prefer playing the keyboard. The camera flickered and said, then your hobby is quite special. It's okay. It's not because I need to turn on my phone signal blocker later, bringing an iPad can better pass the boring time. Noon was provided by the program team, but because they had promised Xu Qianqian to cook delicious food before, after packing their luggage, Luo Jiuge went downstairs. As soon as I left, I met Su Manling, which is not surprising. After all, Su Manling was quite angry before, and now it's easy to have time to be alone, so we can't settle accounts with her. Luo Jiuge wrapped his hands around his chest and leaned against the door. What's up? Su Manling didn't say a word and immediately raised her hand to greet Luo Jiuge. When Su Manling's hand was less than 10 centimeters away from Luo Jiuge's face, Luo Jiuge held her hand. With a forceful squeeze, Su Manling's face changed. Luo Jiuge's face was full of coldness. Who do you think you are? If it weren't for committing murder, she would be able to shatter Su Manling's body into pieces now. Su Manling struggled, but Luo Jiuge's hands were like steel bars, unable to shake a single inch. Grit your teeth and say, let go. Luo Jiuge not only didn't play it, but also leaned his face towards Su Manling and said, don't even weigh yourself a few pounds or 2. Do you really think that the whole world is going to revolve around you with a movie queen? She let go of her hand and then pinched Su Manling's chin. The past was because I didn't want to argue with you, but now, I regret it. So cousin, you must be prepared for my anger. I don't want it to end before it starts. Although Luo Jiuge's face was full of smiles, Su Manling had already wet her entire back. This is Luo Jiuge that she has never seen before. Some infiltrate people, but more terrifying. End of this chapter. Chapter 8 is simply a chaotic stew of CP. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 8 is simply a chaotic stew of CP. When Jianghuai went upstairs, he happened to see two faces pressed against each other, very intimate. Xiao Jiu. Luo Jiuge felt a chill, and perhaps only Su Manling regarded the Jianghuai region as a treasure. Patting the non-existent dust on Su Manling's body, he whispered, "Look at your man, I really hate him." Su Manling's pupils slightly narrowed, and before she could speak, Luo Jiuge walked towards Jianghuai and said, "I have something else to do. You guys can talk slowly." I walked with determination, as if I didn't want to stay any longer to avoid being polluted by the murky air. As soon as Luo Jiuge left, Su Manling immediately called out coquettishly, "Brother Huai." Jianghuai nodded and said, "I'll go see Xiao Jiu." Su Manling couldn't bear to see Jianghuai constantly using his hot face to stick to Luo Jiuge's cold buttocks. She asked in a tone, "Why do you have to stick to Luo Jiuge all the time with so many ex-boyfriends?" Jianghuai is not angry either, he replied with a curved lip, "Because she is Luo Jiuge." Seeing that Jianghuai's answer was very ambiguous, Su Manling bit her lip and said, "If you want resources, I can also give them to you. If it's for the sake of resources that she's doing this, then she can do the same. Although the Su family may not be as good as the Luo family, at least they can still provide resources for the Jianghuai region." She doesn't want to see Jianghuai so humble. Jianghuai turned his head and met Su Manling's gaze. "Did you misunderstand something?" The smile on Su Manling's face gradually faded. "What does that mean?" "Xiao Jiu is my girlfriend." Su Manling's face turned pale as she thought of what she had heard from Liang Xian. She regained some blood color and said, "I know she's your girlfriend, but didn't she break up with you?" Jianghuai's face turned cold. "That's just Xiao Jiu's unilateral intention. I don't agree, so we're still boyfriend and girlfriend. She's doing this to you, why are you?" Before Su Manling could finish speaking, Jianghuai walked over and forcefully grabbed Su Manling's chin. "Don't think that you're Xiao Jiu's cousin and I can have zero tolerance for you. If you hear such words from you again, don't blame me for being impolite," he said after speaking. He turned around and left without giving Su Manling a glance. Su Manling stumbled underfoot and almost fell to the ground. She couldn't figure out what kind of potion Luo Jiuge had given Jianghuai to make him so devoted. Although Luo Jiuge had already said goodbye, Jianghuai still licked Luo Jiuge like a licking dog. What's so good about Luo Jiuge? So many ex-boyfriends, still black like that. If fans know, can Jianghuai still have a good life? Suddenly, Su Manling thought of something and curved her lips, turning around and walking towards her room. After going downstairs, Luo Jiuge headed straight to the kitchen and confirmed that there was only water and no ingredients in the refrigerator. He immediately went out to ask the staff for the car keys. Without any ingredients, what did she give Shu Qianshan for dessert? Do you use your mind? When Jianghuai went downstairs, Luo Jiuge had already driven away. I didn't even see a car exhaust, so in the end I had to sneak back upstairs. What exactly did Luo Jiuge do? It's only been a long time since he came here, and he drove out on his own. Haven't he thought about other guests? Don't be too selfish, isn't it agreed to open a personal live streaming channel? Why hasn't it opened yet? The hallway and lobby don't even have anyone, let's watch it lonely just now. Su Ying and the three of them made me come up with a dog-blooded and domineering CEO torture book. She loves her, she loves him, but he loves her. It's like a complete mess of CP because the live streaming equipment in the room has not been turned on yet, the audience can only see the lobby and hallway. Although I can't see anything, it doesn't seem like a big problem if I don't see anyone for a while, thinking that my beloved Bean will come out during dinner. Luo Jiuge, who drove out alone, was currently in a large supermarket in the city. Unlike other celebrities who went out, the package was very tight, and the main focus was on relaxation. Because what people often pay attention to is the kind of tightly wrapped, someone like her who doesn't put on makeup, masks, or sunglasses, at most just feels like a celebrity. I wandered around and bought all the ingredients I needed, but I never met anyone who asked her if she was a celebrity. Well, of course, it's also possible that she's not angry. To say, the reason why she entered the entertainment industry in her previous life was still a bet with Luo Jiuge, but she lost. Apart from entering the entertainment industry, she cannot use any resources of the Luo family and cannot reveal her true identity to others for 2 years. Now it's exactly 2 years. If it were her previous life, even if time had passed, she would not choose to disclose her identity because she didn't want others to think that she relied on the Luo family to establish herself in the entertainment industry. But in this life, she doesn't think so. I was originally not interested in acting or anything else. If it weren't for the phone call that Luo Jing heard, she wouldn't have even participated in Heartbeat 2023, and would have dropped out of the circle. Yes, from the moment he knew he was reborn, Luo Jiuge never thought about staying in the entertainment industry. One is that this circle is too chaotic, dirty, and unfriendly, and the other is that I am not short of money. Why continue to stay here and suffer? Now she just wants to finish recording the variety show, the revenge that needs to be avenged, the play that needs to be played, the flowers that need to be bought. Why not earn so much money? Life does not bring, death does not bring, and after death, it may still be occupied by the bank. After settling the bill, carrying large and small bags of ingredients, we walked towards the exit. As a result, he didn't take 2 steps and his leg was hugged by someone. Luo Jiuge was taken aback for a moment, then looked down and saw a young boy aged 4 or 5. Wearing a suit with a tailcoat, shiny small leather shoes, and a big back, he looked very familiar, like a little adult. Of course, if we ignore the tears in the little boy's eyes. If it were someone else, they might have already squatted down to coax it. But at this moment, Luo Jiuge was busy going back to make desserts for Shu Qianshan and kept saying, "Child, if you're separated from your family, you can go find the staff to broadcast a broadcast. It's useless for you to hug me." The little boy remained silent and didn't let go, just eagerly looking at Luo Jiuge. The two of them stared at each other for almost a minute, and finally Luo Jiuge sighed, "Shall we go to the side first?" Although the aisle is quite wide, it remains motionless and is still at the cashier's exit, which still has some impact and may hinder other customers from passing by. The little boy seemed to think seriously for a moment, released his hand that was holding Luo Jiuge's calf, and turned to holding Luo Jiuge's hem with his hand, in a posture similar to that of Ding Luo Jiuge. There is a bench next to the cashier's aisle, which looks like it is specifically designed for guests or staff to rest. Luo Jiuge walked over with the little boy, placed the bag on the ground, and then asked, "Do you remember your parents' phone numbers?" End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Mobile phone stuck like an elderly phone infected with a virus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Mobile phone stuck like an elderly phone infected with a virus. The little boy looked at Luo Jiuge eagerly without any reaction on his face, as if he couldn't understand Luo Jiuge's words. Luo Jiuge is a bit embarrassed. She can't always be here with the little boy, can she? If there is no serious matter, it is not impossible, but the problem is, it is not. Licking his lips, he asked again, "Where did you get separated from your family?" Still silent. Luo Jiuge pursed his lips and said, "Do you still remember where your home is?" Not moved. Luo Jiuge's patience has run out. She has never met a dull child like a little boy in her 2 lifetimes, and her face has also darkened. "If you don't tell me anything, then I can only leave you here alone. The reason for the compromise just now is still because I thought of her child who was only about 6 months old and had an abortion in the previous life. Of course, besides that, I also feel that this little boy looks a bit familiar, as if he has seen him somewhere before." But without saying anything, she's not Superman. Can she still help the little boy find his family with her appearance? Upon hearing Luo Jiuge's intention to leave himself here, the little boy seemed somewhat anxious. He gestured frantically for a long time, so anxious that his face turned red and the mist in his eyes grew stronger, as if he could cry the next second. No one who is a mother can see such a scene, even if she is only half a mother. You can't speak, can't you? He patted the little boy's shoulder with calmness. The little boy blinked and tears fell down like this. There are many types of tears, and silent tears are the most deadly. Luo Jiuge dug out a packet of wet tissue paper from the bag, tore open the packaging, took out a sheet, and gently wiped the little boy's tears. Since you can't speak, can you type? Knowing that the little boy didn't know how to answer, Luo Jiuge said again, if you do, just blink your eyes. This time, it seemed like the two of them were finally on the same channel. Luo Jiuge hurriedly unlocked his phone, clicked on the dialing interface, and then stuffed it into the little boy's arms. You enter the number of your family members, he said. The little boy looked at Luo Jiuge, then at the dialing interface, and finally pursed his lips to input a string of numbers. Are you sure this belongs to your family? Luo Jiuge looked at the little boy with suspicion. It's not that I don't believe him, it's mainly because the little boy looks like he's typing casually. Just blink if you're sure. After the little boy blinked, Luo Jiuge pressed the dial button. With the sound of beeping, Luo Jiuge inexplicably felt a little nervous. When the default ringtone was about to finish ringing, the phone was finally answered. Hello. That one. Listening to the voice, there should be a very noble man on the other side, and the image of a domineering CEO in a novel comes to mind like this. So what, your son is in my hands. Silence. To be honest, your son is with me. Still silent. Luo Jiuge suspected that the little boy had left the wrong number, otherwise he wouldn't have reacted at all when he heard his son in his hand. He can't speak, he's wearing a suit. Before Luo Jiuge could finish describing it, the man spoke again, where are you? Luo Jiuge glanced at the logo on the shopping bag and said, Jiuge Supermarket in the city center, next to the bench next to the cashier on the second floor. After finishing speaking, he glanced at the time and said, you must hurry up, otherwise I'm not sure if your son will still be here later. It's almost 11 o'clock now, and it takes almost half an hour to drive back. I don't know if I can make dessert for Shu Qianshan in time. The phone was hung up like this, and Luo Jiuge muttered in his heart, it's impolite. Then he put his phone into the crossbody bag on his shoulder and said, wait a moment, your dad will be here soon. Place your hands on the little boy's shoulder and say, but sister has something important to do and must leave first. Can I let other sisters stay with you here? Upon hearing these words, the tears that had already been stopped flowed down again. Luo Jiuge even suspected that the child might have changed the faucet, crying and stopping, just like there was a switch. Once again, he pulled out the tissue paper and comforted, sister really has something very important to attend to, will you be obedient? After finishing speaking, I rummaged through my shopping bag and found a bag of big white rabbit milk candy. With a gentle tear, he grabbed a handful and placed it in the little boy's hand. There's nothing that sugar can't solve. If there's anything, then eat a few more. Afraid that the little boy might not be restrained, he warned, but you're still young and can't eat too much. You can only take 1 pill a day. Looking at the big white rabbit milk candy stuffed in his hand, the little boy finally stopped crying. Upon seeing this, Luo Jiuge immediately stood up and ran to the staff standing by the automatic cash register pacing back and forth. Hello, could you please help me take a look at that child? He pointed to the little boy and said, he's separated from his family. His family is currently on their way here. Facing the skeptical gaze of the staff, Luo Jiuge explained, I don't know him, and I have to go back now. Regardless of whether the staff accepts their explanation or not, they leave a sentence, I'll trouble you, and turn around to leave. Lifting his shopping bag and facing the aggrieved gaze of the little boy, Luo Jiuge was ruthless and stepped onto the escalator, taking only a few steps down the stairs. The little boy wanted to keep up, but the staff grabbed his wrist and scattered the big white rabbit milk candy on the ground. Now I burst into tears, as if what fell to the ground was not sugar, but a very precious thing. As Luo Jiuge was driving away from the underground garage, a black Porsche Cayenne drove towards him, but in an instant, only a silhouette could be seen, moving as fast as a jaguar. Luo Jiuge let out a tisk and raised his eyebrows, saying, "Indeed, this more expensive car is different." Luo Jiuge rushed slowly and came back in less than 20 minutes. As soon as he returned, he headed straight to the kitchen carrying large and small bags, which startled the two people sitting in the living room chatting. Xu Qianqian glanced at her and said, "What is my sister Luo doing?" The location where Luo Jiuge also goes is the kitchen. If it were the bathroom, it would have to be thought-provoking. Ming touched his chin and said, "Why don't you know? But judging from the things she's holding, it must be a big purchase." Xu Qianqian stood up and said, "I'm going to Hong Kong." She didn't forget that Luo Jiuge had promised to cook delicious food for her before. So after packing up her things, she immediately went to Luo Jiuge's room to find her, but knocked on the door for a long time. Instead of knocking on Luo Jiuge, she knocked on Su Manling. She went out and wasn't in the room. Knowing that Luo Jiuge was not in the room, Xu Qianqian first went back to her room to pass the time by swiping videos on her phone. Then it was discovered that the phone was stuck, as if it were an elderly phone infected with a virus, even more so than a 2G network. Finally, I had to go downstairs to find fun. End of this chapter. If you want to ignore chapter 10, then ignore it to the end. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If you want to ignore chapter 10, then ignore it to the end. As soon as Xu Qianqian entered the kitchen, she saw Luo Jiuge busy putting ingredients into the refrigerator. She poked her head out and smiled, "Sister Luo, can I help you with anything?" Luo Jiuge turned around and said, "There's nothing I need to help with." He replied with his mouth, but his hands kept busy. In addition to buying the ingredients needed for making desserts, I also bought some cooking ingredients, fearing that I would have to add meals at night. Looking at Luo Jiuge's busy schedule, he finally sorted out everything and said, "Sister Luo, what have you bought all these things?" "So many things. Some ingredients." Xu Qianqian's eyes lit up and she said, "Should we do it now?" "Congratulations, you answered correctly. But there's no reward." The voice changed. "What is it without a reward? She can eat the food made by her sister Luo, isn't this the biggest reward? There is really a magnetic field between people, and the person you like at first glance is also filled with joy when you look back. For example, Luo Jiuge. Of course, there are also people who you don't like at first glance, and it's highly unlikely that you can't be friends. For example, Su Manling. When Luo Jiuge took out a pink cinnamon dog apron from her shopping bag, Xu Qianqian couldn't believe it for a moment. Because in her perception, Luo Jiuge belongs to the type of imperial sister. How could something as pink and tender as this appear on her body? After witnessing Luo Jiuge put on an apron with her own eyes, Xu Qianqian was stunned for almost a minute. Then he took out his phone and clicked, making a sound. Although the internet function may get stuck, it doesn't affect the quality of taking photos at all. Help! Who would have thought that Luo Jiuge actually likes this kind of tone? It feels like seeing a fierce man drinking water with a straw. It's off the charts. I just went to Weibo specifically to search for information about Luo Jiuge, and I found out that it seems that Luo Jiuge's company has never controlled her, and even if there are rumors, they are not clarified. So, I have a bold guess that the reason why Luo Jiuge is so black is because her agent wants her to follow the path of black and red. Okay, I admit what I said before was a bit loud. I thought Luo Jiuge was going out alone, but I didn't expect she was going to buy ingredients. But I'm curious about what she can make. Amidst the curious and expectant gazes of the crowd, Luo Jiuge gently tapped an egg at the edge of the bowl. With his thumb, index finger, and middle finger working together, the egg yolk slid into the bowl along with the egg liquid, and the eggshell split in half. Luo Jiuge casually threw it into the nearby trash can. The whole movement was smooth, and Xu Qianqian's mind was in a flutter. Sister Luo, if you were a man, I would definitely marry you. Son Yen, your idea is a bit dangerous. That's what he said, but the smile on Luo Jiuge's face did not diminish. Still laying eggs on my hands, my tone was both proud and teasing, but don't worry, I want to marry myself. Shu Qianqian chuckled out loud, as she had never seen a woman like Luo Jiuge who wanted to marry her before. And she is also a female celebrity. After laughing enough, he asked, how could you make the male compatriots feel so embarrassed? Luo Jiuge shrugged and said, there's no way, who made me so excellent? I beat a total of 5 eggs, and only then did I pick up the egg beater. Teared off the packaging and stirred it purely by hand. Are you preparing scrambled eggs? Forgive her for thinking only of this when she sees an egg, after all, she can't think of anything else besides this. Luo Jiuge shook his head and said, make a cake. She still remembers that Shu Qianqian likes to eat cakes. The reason why she treated Shu Qianqian so well is because in the previous life, Shu Qianqian offended Su Manling by speaking for herself on the program. After the variety show recording ended, Shu Qianqian not only lost her job, but even the slightest hint of her relationship with Qingming was strangled in the cradle, and in the end, she almost lost her life. Now that God has given her this opportunity, she will definitely not let what happened in the previous life happen again. Shu Qianqian is waiting for her. Daily feeding is the most basic. Thinking of the roast she heard from Shu Qianqian in her last life, Luo Jiuge curved his mouth, it's low-calorie and sugar-free. Shu Qianqian was originally leaning against the door. When she heard Luo Jiuge say she wanted to make a cake, she was very excited. When she found out that it was still sugar-free and low-calorie, she couldn't control herself and hugged Luo Jiuge from behind. Woo-woo, Luojie, you are my god. She has been eating grass for almost half a month in order to look good on camera. During this period, not to mention cakes, I haven't even bought a milk tea. I'm so greedy. Luo Jiuge shook his head helplessly and said softly, all right, you go out first. I won't be able to handle this for a while. Although Shu Qianqian was 1 year older than her, she ended up looking like a younger sister. However, it's not a matter of age, after all, she only took care of her dog 3 years later in her last life. Her current psychological age is 25, and compared to Shu Qianqian who is only 23, she is indeed a sister. Shu Qianqian released her hand, her ears turning slightly red. Although she is usually quite familiar, this is the first time she has been able to embrace someone in such a short amount of time after meeting them for the first time, which is truly the first time. Like a little daughter. Law, she shyly said, okay, then I'll go out first. After leaving the kitchen, Shu Qianqian fanned her face with both hands, as if trying to cool herself down. It just doesn't seem to be very useful. As soon as Shu Qianqian walked into the living room, she saw Jianghuai walking out of the elevator. There was no need to fan now, and her body temperature suddenly dropped. At first glance, besides not liking Su Manling, she also disliked Jianghuai. Su Manling felt like she was pretending, but as for Jianghuai, she always felt like he wasn't as easygoing as he appeared. Taking 2 steps and making 1 step, I walked to the sofa next to Qingming and sat down, holding a pillow in my arms. I eagerly looked at Qingming and said, Big, can't I really reveal anything? Before Luo Jiuge returned, the two of them happened to be talking about Qingming's new article. However, when Luo Jiuge returned, she was busy looking for him and didn't have a chance to ask if there was a spoiler. Of course, there is another reason for being so anxious. That is to ignore the existence of the Jianghuai region. If you want to ignore it, then ignore it to the end. Qingming was a bit funny and a bit shy, even afraid to look into Shu Qianqian's eyes. I really can't. He chose to write because he didn't have to deal with people face to face. He has a slight sense of social anxiety, only feeling relaxed in the ocean world of words. The reason why he was able to participate in this variety show this time was because his mother was worried because she saw that he had never been in a relationship, so she secretly signed him up. Unexpectedly, he was still selected. End of this chapter.